Hello everybody, welcome back to Erndales. My name is Dale and I am welcoming you from a very snowy Manitoba. We had 6 inches of snow Thursday and Friday, and it's still snowing. So yeah, spring isn't here. So I just wanted to show you, now that I'm back up in my studio, which is just so wonderful for me. I have not been doing any of my big art pieces because I haven't been up here. If you follow me regularly, you would know that I kind of shut my studio off in November because it's a drafty place up here. We have poor windows up here, and I didn't feel like heating it. Our heating bill is astronomical as it is. So I moved downstairs and I was working on my dining room table, just doing smaller things. And I really have not been up here doing any work until basically this week. I did a bit of a clean because it was a dumping ground. And now I've reorganized myself, and I find that I've got three really large fabric collage pieces on the go now. And one that I was going to do as a fabric collage that I've decided I'm not going to fabric collage it, I'm going to paint it. But that's going to be a whole different can of worms. I'm not even going there right now. So I will show you, well, I showed you what I was going to start for my art piece, and I've changed my mind a million times. I started something else, and then now I'm going to start something else. So I've got 2 instead of 1, and then I have Molly to finish. Molly is almost done. I mean, she's coming along. I probably have another couple weeks work on Molly, but I will be finishing her for sure. The canvas that I was mounting her on is going to be used for something else, so I have to buy a big canvas. That's the only reason why I really am not working on her right now, because I don't have anything to mount her on. But I will take you around and show you the 2 new pieces that I've got started, because my brain has to work on 2 things at one time, I guess. And I will show you where I am with those projects. So I'm going to take you off the tripod, and I'm just going to hold you in my hand. It's easier for me to show you things if I just walk around with the camera in my hand. So let's look at these things. So first off, there's Molly. As I said, she's coming along really nicely. I have a lot of detail to do on her. I'm still putting the fur. You can see the little pieces, tiny little pieces of jeans sort of do resemble fur, which is the look that I wanted. Now I have some work to do on her ears, on her face more, on her mouth, and then the fine details like her eyes. I have a start on them, but they have to pop more than that. So she is coming along. Like I say, I probably have a couple of weeks with work on that dog, and I'm still not 100% happy with, where's my finger? This part right here. I'm just not, in my picture, that's how her chin was, but it just doesn't look quite right to me. So I'm going to keep doing the fur stuff, and I'll see where I get from there. So that's Molly. So I was trying to decide, last time I did a video on the fabric collage piece for the art show, which now I find out is a little earlier than they said. So I don't know that I'm going to have my piece ready for this year. I might have to make it for next year, because I can't be solely working on something like this right at this time of year. Well, I mean, the snow is helping me, but I really don't want the snow to be out there. I want to be outside. So once I find out for sure when exactly the date is, I've spoken to a couple people, and I don't know. Anyway, I was showing you pictures of possibilities, and I had decided that I was going to do a botanical piece. Well, then I decided, after going through the pictures again over and over on my own, I decided I didn't want to do a botanical piece. I decided I was going to do the window, the one that I show you it right here. So that window is a window in a barn that was built by my grandfather in the early 1900s. The barn is situated on what was my grandparents' farm. After they left the farm, my uncle took it over, and now my cousin's nephew is farming on that property. Well, that's his farm. And so it stayed in the family all these years, and the barn is still standing. But the picture that I took of that one window, I took that probably about 8 years ago, right after my aunt had left the farm and before my nephew's or my cousin's son moved in. The property was, nobody was living there. It was being looked after, but nobody was living there. So I spent an afternoon walking around taking pictures, and the barn is just it's just an old barn, but I just absolutely love it. So that picture that I took, I wasn't standing right in front of the window. I was sort of standing offside, and I took it with the camera like over here, but I was over here. So it's a really odd angle, but I've always really loved that shot. I don't know what it is. So after I had decided I was going to do the botanical, I changed my mind and I decided I would do the barn. And I have to tell you, it was really difficult to draw out. I usually would take my process usually when I have a picture that I'm working of my own. What I'll do is I print the picture out, and then I have an old printer that I could enlarge. So I would scan it, scan it, enlarge it, and I would keep doing this until I had the size that I want. And then I would cut those pieces up and use those as my pattern pieces. However, that printer is pretty much obsolete now. I can't get cartridges for it anymore. I can't fill the cartridges. And so this time when I was working off of that barn window picture, I just worked off the image that I was seeing on the computer. And what I did was I measured the boards on the barn, on the window. You can see where the boards are along the window. I measured how many. I gave them a distance. I gave them 2.5 inches per board. And I transferred that size onto my canvas, which is just a piece of cotton. And I worked from there. And then that part was really, really easy because there's only 8 boards in the whole shot. But what was really difficult was getting the angle of the window, because the window itself is not square on, it's twisted. And I did a lot of math, a lot of measuring, and I think I've got it, and I'll show you what I've got. So the piece that I want to do is actually the window, not the botanical. However, you'll soon see that I've actually started the botanical as well. So talk about driving a person, your own self, a little on the wacko side. That's me. So I'm going to show you my rendering of the barn window, and then I'll show you some of the fabric that I'm choosing for that window. So here is the drawing of the barn window. And as you see, this is straight, but that is not. It's on an angle, and it was really difficult to figure that out. But I think I've got it. I might have to, these are the 8 barn boards along the side here. I might have to angle those just a little. I will have to angle those a little because they don't quite look right. I'll see what happens once I get the fabric on. So the barn windows, the barn itself is like the windows and the barn was white, but it's faded and old. So I'm not starting with white. This is the outside pane, or not the outside, what do you call it, of the barn, the window, the sill, I don't know. That is quite white, but none of it is going to be white to begin with. I'm actually going to use some of my eco-dyed fabric because I want more of the age. I will add the white to this, but I want to start off with something that looks like this. This piece along here, the middle part of this is got pattern on it, so I can't use it. But there's a strip right around the whole thing that has some great pieces of color in it. And that's exactly 2.5 inches, that piece in there. And this is exactly 2.5 inches. And so is this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully cut this strip out all the way around. Well, I won't need that much actually. I'm going to look and see which one is got the most variation. This one's got great variation here and up here. I think I'll just use this strip here. I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to start placing that on the boards, the 8 boards going up. And then, of course, this will be dark. This pane here has a hole in it. Oh, it's broken. It's got a big chunk missing out of it. And then there's a strip up here that's dark. And then I'll do these boards here coming down. This part here, because this is the outside of the window, the trim on the outside, I'm going to use a little bit lighter, but still I'm going to be using something maybe like this. It's a little bit lighter than the other one. And that will go just so that I can figure out which is which. I'm going to pop you down for a minute. There we go. And then this is the inner pane here. So that is going to have a little bit different color too. But then I'm going to be using paint, acrylic paint, and I'm going to paint on the white. And the paint is actually peeling off of a lot of this. You can see it on the photo. If you bump up that photo, you can really see how the paint is peeling. And I've been thinking about how am I going to get that effect, and I think I figured it out. I'm going to add tissue paper in my paint and then lift it and let it dry that way. So all of that, I have figured it all out, this whole thing, except for the window. This window is quite dark. This window has a bit of a shadow. This window has pigeon poop on it. And I think these two have a bit of a shadow, so maybe the light was hitting the window. And it's that silvery shadow that I don't have fabric for. I've been trying to think of what I can use. So what I'm going to do is the very next time I go to a secondhand shop, I'm going to go looking at clothes and see if I can find a top. I don't even care if it's rayon or so. Actually, I'm going to go in my own closet first. I might have something. But it's just that shading of grayish, brownish, I don't know. That's what I'm looking for a couple of these paints. So that's where I'm at with this one. This drawing took me the better part of 2 days to do. It was not easy, and it was a lot of measuring. If you can see here, I started with pencil, and I marked out, all my 2.5 inches all the way across, and then I marked the middles. And it just, this blue is that heat resistant stuff. It disappears once you iron on, but it's all going to be covered with fabric anyway, so I really don't care. So that's where we are with the window. This is the one that I really, really want to, actually, I think I will keep this one. Maybe I'll put this in my kitchen. I don't know, but I absolutely love this idea of doing, I've always wanted to do a full-size quilt with this image, but this is just as good. And then we're on to the botanicals. So this was the fabric that I had chosen to do the botanical with. But for some reason, I pulled this one instead, and this one is actually better because it has a bit of pink in it, so it's a bit of a, it's kind of bad lighting here. Just see if I can move this around a little bit. There we go. You can see the sky has little different variations of color, so actually this piece is better. And I've already started this one. Now, I have spent, this took me a whole day to fussy cut all these little strips for flowers, and I've got every color under the rainbow. The thing I'm doing here is I'm using batik. Batik is perfect for something like this because there's a bit of a variation from front to back. And the colors are so nice for a piece like this. You can add depth to your plants, to your flowers, without having to change the fabric. It's all there. So as you can see, I've got all kinds of colors here. This here fabric is perfect for background because it has sort of a backgroundy look to it. And I've got lots of this. I'm picking different colors of greens and browns and beiges. Those are going to be here and there. Oh, here's another piece of that. This is really good for the background because it looks like background. So I'll give you a bit of a close-up here. None of this is down. I am just designing right now. I have not put any of this down, and it's kind of freaking me out a little bit about the thought of lifting this and putting it back because I like the way it is, but I can't. Obviously, I have to stick it down before I can do any stitching on it. So, and I am starting to add some background in here. I will keep some areas of the painted background, but there's going to be, most of it will be this, but there'll be flowers over top. So it won't stick out the way it is right now. So this is where I am with this one. Now, I'm going to have, I've been thinking about putting maybe right around here some sort of a trellis or not a trellis. I'm actually thinking of doing something that looks like chicken wire, like a cheap trellis, what I would call a post with some chicken wire strapped between, because I do want to have some maybe climbing things, sweet peas or something going up the back just to give this height. I mean, I don't want the picture to end here. That doesn't make any sense. So I might put something here. I might stitch it, you know, I don't know. That's my thought right now. And then this will all be flowers. I'm going to put the big flowers first. There will be some white daisies, all colors of echinacea in here. And then I will start down here with smaller stuff in amongst, and some, you know, I think I'm going to look at some delphinium pictures and see if I can get a couple of tall delphiniums going here. But this is just a start. This one is going to take a long time, and I think this one will be the one that I will use, like I had originally thought, for the art show, whenever that art show is. I don't know. And if it's this year, even for June, I'll never get this done by June, ever. This is very time consuming. So that is my fabric collage portion of my making. Now I'm also making my wonky log cabin wall hanging. I have for right now parked my comfort cloth. I'm finished up to March. I haven't stitched March, but I've made the block, and I think what I might do is I just might make the blocks as the new month come along and not stitch them for right now, and then just let them pile up, and then I can catch up when I get some of this other stuff done, and once I get gardening stuff done, and once I get painting stuff done. And, you know, I have a pile of knitting that I'm working on as well. I have some gift knitting that I want to get done, as well as I also am doing the sock along, one sock a month, and I'm keeping up with that. So lots to do. That's why I really don't think I'll be able to get, if I'd have known about this in November, June might have been a realistic date, but not now, not with everything that's going on. So that is what I'm up to. So I'm going to cut that 2-inch strip around that fabric off, and I'm going to start putting it on. And this I will stick down because I don't have to, it's not a design element. I know the design is already here. All I have to do is follow it. And then I have to try and source something for here. And then, of course, after I get that part all done, then I'll be painting. and then I'll be adding the leaves on there. So there's a lot to do here. It looks very simple, but it's going to be very time consuming because there's a lot of detail in here. So I hope you have enjoyed this little part of my studio life. My studio is a hot mess because I've been digging. Look at it over here. It's just, I had it all so nice and clean. And then I started digging for fabric. This is, oh, I give up already. And I have plants in here. I have moved some plants on a rack in there under lights. I have some plants down on the main floor already in the windows. So yeah, oh, too much, too much, too much. So that is it in a nutshell, pretty much. Not much else going on. I've been working up here every day, trying to do a little cleaning and then, you know, a little spring cleaning because I am still doing that too. But I found that the wall washing, although that's really good for exercise for the arm, it was a little difficult and I was having some sleepless nights afterward. But I'm going to keep at it because it is good exercise for the arm. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and I think my next video I will do some knitting with you, show you what I'm doing with knitting. I have a few projects that I'm working on, one for little Olive. And that's about all I've got for this week. So thank you for watching and stay well, everybody. I hope where you live it's spring. And if you could please just send some to us, I would be really thankful. We almost had all our snow gone. It was looking really promising out there to maybe even in areas I could have gone out and raked, but I mean, I wouldn't do that. People would be laughing at me. But I'm so anxious to be outside. I really am. And now we've got 6 inches of snow all over everything again. And it's still snowing. And it's the end of March, you know, like, good gosh. Anyway, it's Manitoba. We have winters that go into spring. We've even had snow in May, believe it or not. And yeah, so I've got work here to do. Thank goodness I can be up here again and get my mind off of what's going on out there. And maybe once I get more things done here, some of that will be ready for me to be outside. So anyway, I'm just rambling on now, aren't I? Okay, take care, everybody, and I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.